Good morning again, guys, and thank you. And I'd like some light up here. That'd be cool. And God said, "Let there be light." And so we are in this series called Ching, and really, and so as you hear this, I know that some of you have already checked out because you're like, what? I should church to the day he's talking about money? No, I'm not gonna go home and figure out how to walk out of here right now. But let me tell you is that this series has this potential to change your life. If you listen and you actually start applying this stuff, it has this message, it has this potential to really change. It can be a life in a significant way of how you handle money and what you do. Now, we're not talking about tithing. We will talk briefly about it, but it's not what this message is about. See, the thing is that when you go into the Bible, money is mentioned over 1,100 times. 1,100 times money is talked about in the Bible because it is a huge issue for us. For us as a people, it's a huge issue. It's a huge thing that so often it stops us from actually having a relationship with God because we're so busy trying to pursue money. And so this is why it's going to. Now, I will tell you, it might have the hugest impact. It'll also be the easiest for you to shake. You can walk out of here and be like, "Oh, I'm done." Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about today. We're going to spend some time talking about less is more. Next week, we're going to talk about stress is bad. Anybody in here agree with stress is bad? Right? Anybody got any gray hairs where they're straight like, man, this is just as horrible, man. We're going to talk, next week we are going to talk, the third week of the series, we are going to talk about how giving is good. Not just tithing, but just giving in general. And then the last week we're going to talk about how tomorrow matters. So it's a 4-week series, and we're really just going to just dive in and really come up with a plan on what the best direction is to go. But today is less is more. Anybody in here ever, anybody in here ever had sprees? Anybody? You know the candy spree, the little roll, right? You know, you ever eat just one of them? Right? You eat one and you're like, no, I need another one, right? And so when I was a kid, I'm a candy junkie. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. I love candy. It's obvious. Look, I love candy. And so for me, I always thought that candy was like, hey, this is the answer to all my problems. I'm happy when I'm eating candy. And so what you do is you go, if one is good, then two must be better, right? And that's how. And I think that if you look at the spree analogy, that's how we are with our lives. If one is better, if one is good, two must be better. So if we have $1, well, having two would be awesome. Two would be just, if we have one car, well, having a second one, that's going to just be so much better. If we have one kid, 3 will be better, right? You start looking at these things and you start going through it and you start looking and you go, man. And our whole attitude has been more money, more clothes, more toys, more stuff. That's what our lives are kind of like. Our life is more, and more. When I was a freshman in high school, so I was on one of those candy binges, and I was cutting school that day. So yes, I've done that once or twice, and I was wandering towards my house. I went to school in the morning and said hello to everybody. Hi, how you doing? And then I started heading home. And I hit the little corner store, and they had a deal on spree candy. And so I was like, ooh, 50 cents each, or they were quarter a time or whatever. And so I bought 3 of them. And I must have killed one off in the parking lot of the place I was at. And so I had one in my system, and I walked across the street, and I said, I think it's time to open the second one up. And I started eating that as well. And on my way back home, there was a Jack in the Box on the way there. And I really didn't feel well as I was walking along, and I got to the Jack in the Box, and I walked in, and I sat down at a table, and I go, man, I really don't feel good. And I had to kind of make this decision of what I was going to do. And so I thought, I better go to the bathroom because it's not. And so instead of making it to the restroom, I spewed spree all over the table that I was at, right? Anybody, have you I know that I've kind of gotten a little graphic here, but what I'm really going to say is that sometimes it's just better to eat less. It's just better to do less with something because it just got to that point, 2 rolls was too many, maybe 1 too many at that point. And it was, It was just not good. See, if you go back in the Bible and we go look at Adam and Eve, and Satan comes out and he gives them this lie, and he tells them, and he goes, see, they had everything except for one thing, right? They could use the entire garden. They could eat from any tree except for one. They had a plenty. And Satan gives them this lie and goes, well, wait a minute here. This one, you would have more and you would have better. And so it kind of starts all the way back at the creation for us, is that we always want more. We always look at this and go, I need to have this. More is always better is what we kind of get to. And really the lie I think that you get is what you don't have is what you need. You know, what you don't have is what you need. So you start looking at this, I don't have the knowledge of the knowledge tree, the knowledge of good and evil. So I need that. I have to have that. It's kind of where we're at. That's where we get. There's going to be one verse for today. One verse is kind of an important verse. And so if you have your notes or if you're following along online, better is one handful with tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Think about this. Think about it. Why is it better? You can help someone, you can give, you can encourage, or you can take a nap. You know, more time, right? You can do things. If you have more time, why is it better? You get to help someone. If you have more money, you get to give. If you have better self-esteem, it's easier to encourage others. If you're not tore up through all these things, it's easier to do that. Or it's just easy to take a nap, which is what all you guys really want to do at one point in the day anyway. All of those things become easier when you start removing all this pressure that we put on us. When we start getting away from, I got to have more, I've got to have more stuff. See, the thing is, less is actually more. Less, you get better quality. Less, you get more time. See, what we need is, we need less of what doesn't matter. See, in our lives, we try and pursue things, and we need less of what doesn't matter. Define what does matter. In your lives, you need to look at this. And so I gave you some spots to write in your notes. What matters? You know, picture yourself with 3 months to live. How about that? If you had 3 months to live, picture yourself with what would be important. If you just look down and go, okay, what do I need to have in place? What do I need to do here? What matters? You know, God, relationship, your kids, what matters in that 3 months? You look at that and go, what has to be here? I promise you, not on a single person's list in here is going to be money. I have to have money in the bank. Nobody is going to write down, man, I better have a lot of money in the bank for this time. They're just not going to. You know, or nobody's going, I got to have that brand new iPhone 7. You know, that's not on anybody's list. You know, nobody's going, man, we got to go get that brand new leather sofa. We got to have it. The house has got to look immaculate in that 90th day. That's not on the list. You know, there's not your car. That's not on the list either. You know, if you start thinking about this, you know, the new countertops at your house, that's not on there either. You know, and I just started looking at things. I started looking at the list of stuff that we tend to, you know, if you go on Facebook and you just do some stalking for a few minutes, you can see what's really important. You know, people are like, I got to have these shoes. And your shoes aren't going to be on that list if you have 90 days left. They're just not going to be. Your Instagram followers, that's not going to matter at all. You're not going to be caring about that. And promise you that you probably won't spend very much time on your phone during that period. You know, the trinkets that you go, how much time you spend playing on your phone, playing Pokemon Go, or whatever the new fad is, all those things, almost none of it matters if you have 90 days left, and you know that. You know what matters is people. The conversation shifts to, how do I get more time with people? You know, and one of the things that I wrote down in my notes is that with Jesus, your life doesn't consist of the abundance of your possessions. With Jesus, your life doesn't consist of the abundance of the possessions that you have. I mean, just think about this. When Jesus is part of your life, what do you do? You know, when he's there, you're not chasing after and going, okay, well, I'm going to follow and try and get everything I can possibly get to say that I have all of these possessions. You try and go, how much can I go love others? How much can I go spend with others, spend time with others? How much can I really have in relationships with other people? And the thing is we get so tied up in what doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter a lot of times. So we're going to help, and I kind of want to give you kind of a direction to go and really talk about less. Having less is more, and it's really more living. So the first thing that we need to do is cut back. You know, when you start looking at your budget, I promise that God has probably given you enough to live on. But what we need to do is we need to cut back. So just kind of give you this, Melissa and I, in case you guys don't know, our house was built in 1966. We paid $100,000 for our house. That's what we paid, $100,000. 105. All about the details, baby. We paid $105,000 for our house, and it makes our payment, and so our interest rate's like 4%, so our payment is right around $700 a month. That's our house payment. But we did that knowing the direction that we were going to. We knew we needed to set our lives up for ministry. We knew that if we were going to do ministry, we knew that if we were really going to go out and be able to love on others. And so when we were out shopping for our house, we went from place to place to place, and we'd walk in and be like, "Oh, can't do small group here. It doesn't have the right rooms." Or we'd walk into another place and go, "Yeah, this just isn't going to fit for us to be able to do this." We had all of these things it was literally ministry focused when we did it. Our real estate agent was going, "You should go look at this house, and you should go to this place, and you should go to that place." And we looked at all these houses that were $300,000 and $400,000. And the reality is that the house that was $100,000 better suited what we were trying to do to be able to follow and do what God had asked us to do. See, the thing is that at the time I was working full time and making fairly decent money. I didn't know that I was going to go 2 years without a paycheck. Well, 2 years without a paycheck and God was able to provide for the house that we live in. When we first started the church, I didn't take a check from the church at all for the first couple of years, and you start looking at it, and you start going, we have to put ourselves in the position, we have to start thinking and cutting back and going, yeah, we can have that bigger house, we can have that nicer house, but the reality is, do we need that? Does this fit the needs of what we need to do? So we have to start cutting back instead of going, and I know that some of you guys have just bought in houses, or you're struggling to make the house payment now, and I get it. And so what I want to do is help you get through that. I want to help you get from this position where you're at and help you get through this, and by taking these steps, we can help avoid some of that stuff. And really what it comes down to is that if you come into our house, and my wife and I both need walk-in closets. We just need them. She likes to say that I have more clothes than her, but the reality is I just have more that are hanging on the hangers, and she has more that are piled on the floor. Yeah, and see that's just kind of not to beat up on her, but to throw her under the bus. But I just wear less of my stuff. That's all. And see, the thing is that that's not the reason. Just because we need 2 walk-in closets, should we go buy another house? That's not the reason why we do that. What we have to do is we have to go, how do we do better in this house? Should we cut back? Should we remove clothes? Should we change things? Instead of having, we have a garage that we're not using right now, maybe we can turn that into a closet. We just have to look for different things in order to make the change. We have an attic. We can use that for storage. But the problem is that we don't utilize the house that we actually have right now. We have 1,855 square feet, and we utilize, we have a room that's full of toys. If we're really looking at this and going, if less is more, then we can actually reduce some. See, what's happened is by doing that, we've actually been able to help others by actually having this minimalistic attitude, going, we don't need to have all that stuff. And by having that attitude, it makes it to where you can go, we can help. We can help somebody else. We can help somebody else get out of the situation that they're in. Less is more. It allows you to do things. Just having less is more. Life does not consist of the abundance of stuff. Less stuff, generally, you can have more friends. You have more places to put them in your house. You can have them come over. It's just less stuff. Less stuff is more time with family. Because if you're not trying to get more stuff, and if you're not trying to pursue after getting more things, it's easier to get off work at a reasonable time and go home and spend it with your family. It becomes easier to do those things. Less stuff means more experiences. That means more, being able to go out and do more things. Stuff means, if you're not always trying to get more stuff, that means that you can actually go out and do things and go experience the Grand Canyon, for example, or go experience spring training in Arizona, or you can go experience like my daughter's graduating boot camp. I get to go experience that. Those are things that just by having less stuff, you can do more things. You don't have to have so much stuff. A lot of times we go, how do I change that? Well, start clearing out stuff. I told my wife just a couple weeks ago, stop bringing stuff home. Stop. Don't bring it to the house. Guys, I will tell you right now, I love the craft work of Annie, who does our set designs and all. And everybody loves the stuff, right? The problem is my wife loves it so much that a piece of it always comes home to us. Almost every time. Like I walked up the stairs, or even down the stairs this morning from where I go, there's a bird cage and there's another bird cage. And I go, what do we do with these bird cages? We don't have any birds. They're decoration for the stairs. Our whole house is bird cages. We have kids. We don't need more. Less is more. Less equals more space in the house. Less is better. Please hear me. No. The next thing that we need to do is clear out. We need to start moving stuff out. We need to clear out stuff. See, cut out as if your life depends upon it. That's what we need to get to. We need to start cutting stuff out of our life as if our depend. So, and I know that you're looking at this and going, less is more, Mike, and so I got to go out and I'm going to go and get 3 books on cutting back and being minimalistic and just on organizing. No, just start doing it. You don't need books on how to do it. Just start doing it and start moving forward. You don't need a whole bunch of stuff. That's actually adding to the problem. It's time to start getting rid of it. Guys, I will tell you, and I know a lot of you guys are probably going to disagree with me here, or maybe some of you won't disagree. Anybody in here, do you prefer the hardback book over the digital book? Okay, so all of you are part of the problem. No, I'm kidding. Those books, you just keep building a library. You don't need a library. You read it. Yeah, give it to the library and go check it out when you want to read it again. In fact, there are buildings for books. Go there. Grab it for a little while and then take it back in a couple of weeks. You don't need to have a whole bunch of them. If you have a whole bunch of them at your house, take them to the library and go, I have a gift for you. They will gladly take them. And I promise you that your spouse is probably done carrying them. What do you want me to do with this box of books? Besides light it on fire right here in this living room. And that's what happens. You got to get rid of some of that stuff. There's an opportunity here. You have it. So here, I've got an iPad. I can put every book that you have on this iPad. And it's cheaper. And less trees get killed. And all of these things ends up being better. Right? I know, you can't highlight. You can't go back and thumb through it. You can't fold down the corners. Learn how to use the technology better. You can do all of those things with it. I'm sorry. I know, it's difficult for so many. Like for me, I didn't grow up with very much, right? And I like having stuff. I didn't grow up with a whole lot of things. I didn't grow up with I didn't grow up with all the brand new video game systems. In fact, they were just coming out when I was growing up as a kid. And I didn't grow up with all that stuff. I grew up, and my mom, there was 3 of us. And she struggled just to make sure that we ate. She struggled to make sure that we had clothes. She struggled just to make sure. And so video games, stereo systems, MP3 players, any of that type of stuff, Walkmans, I guess we'll call it back then, whatever. None of that stuff was not on the table. That was not part of the plan. When you got that stuff? Christmas. You got toys at Christmas time. During the rest of the year, you were hoping and praying for your birthday that you would live that long for all the stuff that you got into. Because that was the next time that you would get more gifts. It was not just like how, and we're the worst offenders. Take our kids to Walmart. Oh, let's go get them a toy. That didn't exist when I was a kid. When I was a kid, in fact, probably left you at home so that you didn't steal anything while at the store. She'd leave you at home so that you didn't grab anything and throw it in the cart so that you try and sneak by. Be like, oh, candy bar. She'll never see that. But that's what we tend to have done back then. And so what would happen is that you would just have to stay, your parents would leave you at home when they went grocery shopping, not to hear you whine and cry. But they brought home the essentials instead of all the other things that you don't need. Just think about it. How much stuff is in your house that you don't need? That you just look at and go, wow, what am I ever going to do with that? What am I, look at and I use the analogy of, Misery. Anybody ever seen the movie Misery? Yeah. All the little trinkets that were everywhere. The penguin. She used that penguin to know that he got out of the room, but what happens is that we just have a whole bunch of stuff everywhere to where we don't actually get to live in our space. We've all become a hoarder of such. Now, you may not be one of those extreme hoarders where you've got newspapers stacked all the way up to the ceiling going, I'm going to read that one day. You might call that a book or something like that. You go, I'm going to read that one day. I'll get to those. But the reality is that we all have become hoarders. We're afraid of throwing stuff away, or we're afraid of making room. We become overwhelmed with stuff. We get afraid that we might need it. We go, I might need that stuff. And we become sentimental to garbage sometimes. My son was perfect with this. A couple weeks ago, we had a package that was delivered here. It was a big, it's a big box. I mean, and they turned it into a house, right? They go, this is going to be my new fort, whatever they wanted to call it. And he became emotionally attached to it. Like I went over there to go start breaking down the box, and oh no! It's a box. I mean, relax. It's just a cardboard box. They make lots of these. That's my box. And and so we've gotten that way with all of our stuff. We've gotten that way where we go, I'm emotionally attached to the cardboard box, essentially. I'm emotionally attached to the stuff that's out in the garage that I haven't touched in years. I'm emotionally attached to the living room stuff that we don't even live in right now. I got a couch that's just collecting dust. I'm just emotionally attached to these things, and we become sentimental, and we go, oh, one day I'll use that. No. If that one day hasn't been in the past year, that means it's time for it to go away so that somebody else can use it. You have treasures in your house for other people to be able to use it and actually help them get through life. But we hold it back. Anybody in here, you go, I know some people that used to collect DVDs. Anybody still collect DVDs? When was the last time some of you guys are putting them in right now, but for a lot of people I talk to them, they don't even watch the DVDs anymore. They're digital. Everything is digital now. They put it on, they go, oh, I'll watch it on Apple TV, or I'll watch it on this, or I'll watch it on I will watch it on my phone and then send it to my TV. Is really where we've gotten to this point. We've gotten to this point where we don't actually watch the DVDs, and so now you have a collection of DVDs that you're not actually using anymore, that they're just there, that they're not actually and see, that's kind of what holds us back. The restaurant menu. Anybody got any restaurant menus at the house? Hanging on the refrigerator? Anybody? I got a couple of them. I don't know why they're there. There's like 3 of them on the refrigerator, on the side of the refrigerator. Like, why is that there? Why? We've never even eaten at that place. Is that like a hope one day? Baby, take me to this place. And it's just another refrigerator. Is that what that's supposed to be? I look at it, but we keep things that end up being garbage sometimes. We need to get rid of it. So if you buy something, here's kind of a rule of thumb. If you buy something, then you give one away. So if you go and buy a new shirt, then you give a shirt away. Then you take it to wherever it's going to go. If you're going to bring something into the house, you get rid of one. You got to do it. And so the thing is that there's 2 benefits for this. 1, it makes it to where you live a less cluttered life. And 2, it keeps you in style. Because I've seen some people walking around in here with some stuff from 10 years ago going, it still fits. It's a little face here, buddy. You've washed it a few times. It's time to buy another one. It's okay, And so if you haven't worn it in a year, it's time for it to go away. Your life does not consist of the abundance of your possessions. It just really does not. Now you might have some dresses or some stuff that you're looking at, or your suit. If you haven't worn it in a year, that's okay. You keep that type of stuff. But the T-shirts, you don't just need a collection of T-shirts. The next thing, so we cut back, we clear out, we pay off. We have to start removing debt. And we have to start getting rid of it. We have to pay it off. We have to get rid of it. Stress is bad. And we're going to talk more about this in a couple weeks. We have to get rid of the debt. The borrower is servant to the lender. Anybody in here, have you ever used this and goes, man, my debt makes me feel at peace? Anybody ever said that? Really? None of you guys have said that? So why do we have it? Why do we have it? If it makes you feel at such peace, it's like, man, let me go into debt some more. Oh, they sent me a credit card offer. I have to sign up for it. Woo! I won the lotto. No, you haven't. That's not what happened when that credit card showed up in the mail. In fact, they sent you the potential to create some more debt, to hold you back, to hurt you. That's exactly what they did. Oh, my monthly credit card payments, they just calm my soul. Has anybody ever said that? Oh, man, when I'm writing those checks, I feel so good in here. Life is just going perfect. No. Has anybody ever used the line, owing people just brings me such joy? I just love it. I love being in debt to people. It just brings me such joy. It's my happy place. No, right? None of us have ever said any of these lines. So why do we go in that direction? Why do we go there? I talk to people, like I talked to somebody who paid off their house. You know, that's like an amazing thing when you talk to them. They pay off their house and they go, woohoo, no debt. Like truly no debt. Because they have nothing else. They have no other, if you had your house paid off and your cars were paid off, you had no other debt. Isn't that a relief? And isn't that just the stress that is taken off of you because of that? Just to have that gone. And see, the thing is, I'm going to refi my house. I've heard this and I go, wait a minute, you paid on your house for 15 years. They go, yeah, and I'm going to refi, I get a lower rate. But then you're putting 15 years back on your loan. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I need the lower payment. No, let's start cutting some other things out, pay off other things, and start adding that amount to your house payment and get it knocked out in the next 5 years or get it knocked out in the next 6 years or whatever. You don't need a new car if you're out of debt from your house. Because imagine this. For you guys, house payment and 2 car payments or whatever else, if you were to eliminate the car payments and then eliminate the house payment, do you think you could walk in and pay cash for your house or for a car? After you walked in, 10 months later, you could walk in and pay cash. Because most people's car payments are $1,500 to $2,000. You'd have $20,000 in your hand. Don't you think you can get a pretty nice car for $20,000 cash? You get a pretty nice car for that. If you can't, then you can go to another dealership. You don't have one that you're going to take cash for 20 grand for? Well, I'm out. See you later. But you can get a beautiful car for that and not owe anybody if you wanted a new one. It'd be better to go buy a used one with low miles on it and get that one taken care of. See, the thing is that we want it now. We have this absolute refusal to wait for something. We go, I want it now. And I'm willing to put myself in positions that I never dreamed that I would go to in order to have it now. Nobody wants to be in debt. Nobody goes, I like being slave to the lender. I like being in debt. I like owing my friends money. Nobody wants that. Yet we do it anyway. We go, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to just go in that. I'm going to pursue that direction. I'm going to go in the direction of having stress and having this feeling of going, what am I supposed to do? Man, I will tell you, being debt-free is fun. That's what's being fun. The stress, the worry, the fear is gone. Being debt-free is fun. Not owing anyone, to be able to say, I don't owe anybody anything, is fun. It's relieving. It's an amazing thing to be able to step back and go, man. That's why you hear these people that made their last credit card payment. Woo! I made it. And they cut up the credit card. You see somebody pay off their car. You see them posted on Facebook, on Instagram. They put it everywhere. Just made the last payment on the car. When you see somebody do it to their house, they even throw a party because of it usually. Because now they can afford to do those things. If you take $1,500 that's going out every month, how much better is your life? When we just focus on paying off debt and going in that direction. Just kind of look at it this way. Better is a car that's paid off than a new one with massive payments. Better is to have a smaller house than to fight over who spent what. I just tell you, better is to have financial margin to help others than to be living consistently on the brink of a bankruptcy. And that's where we tend to live at. Less is more. Doesn't mean that you don't have anything. Let me tell you that now. That doesn't mean that you don't have stuff. That just means that you just have less stuff. And you just have stuff that is important and matters. You might have some really nice stuff, like really, really nice stuff. That doesn't mean that you have to get rid of that. And it's okay to have nice stuff. But the thing is when it puts you in a position to when you have to buy something on credit, then you shouldn't have it yet. We should get to this mindset, we just pay it off. We buy it. If you don't have cash to pay for it, then you don't get it. That's just the mindset that we have to be in. Better is a little nice stuff that you own than a bunch of junk that owns you. Because that's what ends up happening a lot of times. That stuff owns you. You're chasing after how to make the next payment. Better is one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Isn't that what we're always doing? Chasing after the wind to make these things happen. We're chasing after it. We're always going. Isn't it better just to be able to hold that one thing and go, I have it. It's mine. I don't have to worry about who's going to come repossess it from me. You know, it's, See, the thing is, the richest people out there aren't the ones that have the most stuff. They're the ones that need the least amount of stuff. That's what it really comes down to. Those that are really rich in this world are the ones that just need the least amount of stuff. You know, if you go to when you go to these developing countries, you go to some of these places, and the people that are rich there, like loaded rich, they don't have a lot in their houses. You know, they just have, you know, it's very simplistic. They have a couch, maybe a TV. Yeah, they have a house. See, that's what really makes them rich, is they have a house. They have a place that is theirs. That's what really makes it rich. You know, I was talking to somebody who's in the Philippines, and they live out in the way out in the outskirts, and in the Philippines, they don't even have a car, and yet they're considered rich in the community. It's not having more stuff. You just got to look at what do you really need to have? Life is too valuable. So that's the thing, is life itself is too valuable for you to be wasting it trying to chase after more money. Life is too valuable, and your calling is too great. And see, the thing is, our God is too good to waste your life on meaningless things. Just chasing after meaningless stuff. Our God is too good to be just continuing that pursuit and after that. We have to make this change. Better is one handful and children that you love that you can do things with. That you can go out and be like, I'm not stressed out about this and I can take care of this. Better is one handful and intimate friends, because you actually get to spend time with them and not be stressed out trying to chase the dollar at work. Better is one handful and vacation memories. And I talk to people that are living paycheck to paycheck because they keep buying more stuff, and they can't even get time off work to go on a vacation. They just don't have them. Better is one handful and a good marriage, because you actually get to spend time and date one another. Better is one handful and the ability to make a difference and be able to do life with others. Better is one handful and a passion for Jesus. Maybe that's where we really need to go to. Maybe that's where I should have started. Better is one handful and a passion for Jesus, because when you have that passion for Jesus, everything else seems to fall in place. Everything else seems to go in that direction. Everything else seems to go to where we're supposed to be going. When we're pursuing God and we have this heartful desire, we're going, God, you tell me which direction to go. Jesus, give me the steps. Tell me where you want me to go. How do you want me to handle this? It is amazing on how everything else seems to fall in place, how your whole shift changes, how you go into this mindset of going, I need to be pursuing this. I need to be going after this, because it allows me to actually have more time with friends. It allows me to be able to do small group at home. It allows me to be able to do and actually enjoy my company with my kids and my spouse. All of these things, when our relationship with Jesus is it's not only just so good, but also so fulfilling, because we've spent so much time with them. A lot of those other desires tend to go away. A lot of the desires that we've been pursuing and going, I need to have this or I need to have that, well, really, if you've ever met anybody who has a whole bunch of stuff, they're really not happy. They're still trying to pursue more stuff. They need more and more and more. A couple years ago, we go out and we serve the homeless, and we were out in the park, and I was having a conversation. And I asked this guy, I said, if I could help you get off the streets today, would you leave? And his answer was no. Why not? And he had a well-worn Bible, and he brought his Bible out, and he said, I have my relationship with God. And then he goes, and I don't have the stresses of all the other things. I know where I'm going to lay my head down at. I know where this is going to happen. He's all, sure, I get rustled around, I get pushed out, and that's okay. I'll deal with that. And he goes, but I know. I know what's going to happen. He's all, my friends are here. My friends are here, and I get to hang out, and I get to socialize with them all the time. And then he goes, and then the other thing is, the other people that truly matter to me are here with me as well. He's all, my family kicked me out. He's all, but that's what was important to me. He goes, my God and my friendships. He's all, I didn't need anything else. I didn't need all the rest of that stuff. And see, for us, we have it kind of backwards, right? We go, I got to have all this stuff. I got to get all these things before I can go to church, because I have to have these things in place. In order to be able to go to church, on Sundays. And we always try, instead of, we always want to put the cart before the horse, essentially, right? Isn't that what we want to do? We go, I got to get all this stuff before I go get God, or before I do what God has asked me to do. And the reality is, if you do everything that God has asked you to do, all that other stuff tends to be placed exactly where it's supposed to go in that relationship. What we have to get to is this mindset of going, I'm going to put God first. I'm going to cut all the clutter. I'm going to get rid of I'm going to clear out everything that's bothering me. I'm going to cut back on my spending. I'm going to pay off my debt. Because that way I'm really able to do what God has asked me to do. I don't have any of those other stresses. I'm able to do what God has asked me to do. It's amazing on what changes. The stresses that go away. The financial freedom that you feel to where you can actually do what God has asked you to do. It takes some small changes. And it takes some things if you're looking and going, okay, well, I'm not going to go in that direction because I can't afford it yet. We just have to make those changes and be willing to start doing that now. You'll get true freedom. You won't be slave to the lender. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for just giving us this word on actually coming to know you and moving closer to you, and rather than pursuing finances or pursuing money, that we pursue you, that we cut back on all the things that we just don't need, the debt that we're incurring, that we just start getting rid of stuff so that way we can actually have a closer relationship with you. We clear out all the things that hinder us. We clear out all the things in our homes that we just don't need to have, the closet space that could be freed up from the clothes that we haven't worn in the past year. The freedom that we would have in our house to have some space and have more guests over if we just started removing stuff that continues to bog us down. And Father, to just get from underneath the lender, to be able to pay off all of our debt and to start moving closer to you, rather than struggling to pay off our bills, or struggling to pay off the credit card, or struggling to pay off the dishwasher we bought 2 years ago. Father, help us and guide us and give us the strength to stand strong as we're going in that direction with you. Father, help us. Help us continue to love as we struggle with some of these things. Help us continue to grow closer to you and our knowledge in you, and to pick up your word more often, because we know that we can truly find everything that satisfies our heart if we start removing the other desires, if we start removing these things that just don't mean nothing but the desire to pursue you and have a relationship with you and to do life with you and to love the way you've asked us to, that we find that all of the other hiccups tend to go away. Father, thank you. And thank you for what you're doing through this message and the hearts that you've already started to stir through this message. I'm excited to see how we're going to grow through it. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray. Amen.